Peaceful, 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 peace.
When we buy a new house, housewarming ceremony, we recite the Quran. When someone dies, then we recite the Quran. I do not know of any verse in the Quran, no Sahih Hadith, in which the Prophet or any of the Sahabas, they recited the Quran for the opening ceremony of the house or the shop or when someone died. And they get a group of people and they recite the Quran fast. Maybe 30 people, each one reciting one juz. So I tell them that if you really want to do Quran Khani, instead of that, do Quran Fahmi. Do it on this occasion, no problem. Do it once a month. Do it once a week. Do it daily. When you call 30 people, instead of reciting Arabic one juz, along with Arabic, even read the translation of that juz which you have recited. Instead of 30 people, call 60 people. Read half juz in Arabic, half juz, the translation which you understand the best. Have Quran Fahmi, understand the Quran, understand the message. Inshallah, inshallah, it will get you multiple times more sawab. We have Muslims who, mashallah, they give respect to the Quran. And we should respect the Quran, there's no doubt about it. But many of us, we fail to understand the reason why the Quran was revealed. And as I was saying, we have Khatmi Quran, Quran Khani. I would like to give an example. That there was a person, there's an Indian, who goes to France to get a bachelor's degree. But when he goes to France, the language of instruction was French. And this Indian, he did not know French. So he used to attend the classes religiously, regularly. Whenever he used to attend, he used to get a P. P is for present. Full year he attends the class. But the instructions are in French, he doesn't understand it. After 1 year, he appears for the examination. The question paper is in French. But yet he gets a P. P is not for past, P is for present. But just by being present, do you think he will pass in the examination? He does not understand a word. Maybe because he knows English, like how many of us, we know Urdu script, so we can recite the Quran. So he can read some of the French without understanding, because the script of English and French is the same. Do you think he'll pass in the examination? He gets the P. The P is for present, it is not for past. So that's the reason it's very important that we read the Quran with understanding. As I was mentioning, that we Muslims, we give respect to the Quran, alhamdulillah. But many of us, they go beyond the limit. They give so much respect that they forget for what purpose the Quran was revealed. We keep the Quran on the topmost shelf. Alhamdulillah. They keep it so much on top that it's difficult to reach. And the Quran catches dust. The Quran is a book of guide. It's a guidebook. Suppose if you are studying, the guidebook is normally at a shelf which is reachable. It's kept at a shelf which you can reach the easiest. You won't keep it on top where it's difficult to take a stool to get it down. So Quran is a book which should be referred every day. It should be handy. And many of us Muslims, we tie the Quran in a pure silk cloth. And then we tie a knot on it. Suppose if you want to read the Quran, you start thinking, okay, 5 minutes to open the Quran. 5 minutes again to tie the Quran, 10 minutes. The thought of you opening the Quran and again tying it will be a deterrent. And if you have 10 minutes, 10 minutes abhi kholne mein aur bandhne mein jayenge. If you have 10 minutes time, to open the Quran, close 10 minutes, so better not read the Quran. See, we have to respect the Quran, but the main respect is in the heart. I'm not against keeping the Quran on top, don't get me wrong. But see to it that it is accessible. It's easily available for guidance. You know, many of us Muslims, before touching the Quran, we scrutinize 1,000 things as though it's an RDX bomb. Quran, wearing shoes, can I touch the Quran? Can I read the Quran while standing? Can I read it in the office? All these things, they prevent you from reading the Quran. We scrutinize the Quran as though it's an RDX bomb going to explode. The Quran is a book of guidance. So that is the reason many of us Indians object to, the Arabs, mashallah, the way they treat the Quran, they give respect. But as though it's a guide, it's available. We Muslims keep it on topmost shelf. In India, it's catching dust. And rarely will we find people, when they have 5 minutes, 10 minutes, they refer to the Quran. Because there is, we have to have that frame of mind, and then we have to see 10 things. We can't be in shoes, we can't stand, and we have to have a hat over your head, etc., etc. See, many things are good, but don't make life so difficult that the main purpose of the Quran is for guidance is defeated. And very often if you go to the Gulf countries, many of the Arabs, when they come for Salah a few minutes before, you find them taking the Quran and reading. In India, rarely will you find that. And suppose someone is reading in the first row, and someone takes the Quran and reads in the second row, there will be a person who will object. How can you read the Quran in the second row? The back is facing the Quran. Haram. Khalas. And if you have to sit in the mosque, and suppose at your home or in the mosque, if by mistake if you happen to read the Quran while facing Qibla, khalas, you will get fatwa, haram. You can't read the Quran with your back facing the Qibla, back facing the Kaaba. I've been to Haram several times in Makkah. Several times, they have this Talimul Quran, they have these Hifz classes, and the students sit in rows. Many of the back face the Quran of the other student who's carrying a Quran in the hand. And many a time the teacher is facing the Kaaba and the students' back are facing the Kaaba. So where do they get this from? Which verse of the Quran, which hadith, I don't know. So we have to love the Quran, we have to respect, but we have to know that the main reason the Quran was revealed was for hidayah, was for guidance. Once there was an Indian Imam, very good Qari. He went to Saudi Arabia. And because he was famous, it was Maghrib's time. So they told the Qari, they told the Imam, Imam, you lead the Salah. So the Indian Imam, he goes and he leads the Salah for Maghrib. He recites and he finishes the Salah. And when he finishes the Salah, one Saudi smiles at him. So then he asks that, what's the problem? Was there any problem in my qiraat? So the Saudi told him, no, your qiraat was wonderful. I was only wondering that when you recited Surah Yusuf, why did you put Yusuf alayhi salam in the well, but before you complete the Salah, why didn't you get him out of the well? This anecdote would be understood only by those people who read the Quran with understanding. Those who don't read the Quran with understanding will not be able to understand this anecdote. The Saudi was telling him, if you read Surah Yusuf, it speaks about the story of Yusuf Islam, that how he was betrayed by his brother, and his brothers put him in the well, and later on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala caravan comes, and Yusuf alayhi salam is got out of the well. So the Saudi tells him that you recited very well, but in your Salah you put Yusuf alayhi salam in the well, but at least before ending the Salah you should have brought him out of the well. That means we start the surah from anywhere and we end it anywhere without realizing have we completed the meaning or not.